sexual harassment, sexual assault, and rape. Sexual violence is all too common in our communities in general and college campuses specifically. It impacts victims across identities. For instance, decades of research has shown that 1 in 4 college women report being raped or attempted rape. We also know that those who experience intersecting forms of oppression experience even greater rates of sexual violence, including people of color, gays and lesbians, trans and gender nonconforming folks, and working class people, just to name a few. Sexual violence affects all of us, whether it's happened to us, could happen to us, or could happen to those we care about. If you think that no one you know has ever experienced sexual violence, I assure you they have. They just haven't told you yet. Sexual violence affects people of all genders, but the perpetrators of sexual violence are overwhelmingly men. That's why today, I want to talk about sexual violence as a men's issue. One of the reasons sexual violence has continued to persist in our society is we have generally taken the approach of being reactive and rarely proactive. One example of this is that society has generally framed sexual violence as a women's issue. Now, we have to recognize the decades of work that feminist and women's organizations have done to put laws on the books, resources in place, shelters in existence, and to raise awareness. Women deserve a debt of gratitude for starting the movement, laying the foundation, and doing the vast, vast majority of the work today. Examples of these reactive messages directed at women include, don't walk alone at night, don't wear that, go with your friends, come home with your friends, don't drink too much. Now, when these are the only ways we address sexual violence, the real message we're sending is, hey, we know rape's gonna happen here. Here's how you women need to deal with that. We must do better than that. This would be like if we had an epidemic of drunk drivers hitting, injuring, and killing pedestrians, and how we addressed that issue was holding seminars on how to walk across the street. That wouldn't make any sense. That's why we need to add to this reactive approach a proactive approach, and a proactive approach means prevention. It means preventing not just sexual violence from happening to those we love and care about, but preventing sexual violence from happening to anyone, period. If we're going to be serious about prevention, we have to understand who the perpetrators of sexual violence are. Overwhelmingly men. Now, this can be hard for us as men to hear. It can feel like we're all being blamed for the actions of a few. It's certainly how it sounded to me when I first heard it. But it can also be empowering to understand the role that we can play in ending rape. After all, if the overwhelming number of perpetrators are men, then who has more power to prevent and end sexual violence than us? Men. Of the college men who admitted to already having engaged in behaviors that met one of the 10 behaviors that met the legal definition of rape, 84% of them did not